PHL 17 presents InFocus, a look at the issues affecting the Delaware Valley. Now your host, Steve Highsmith.
Arguing with your neighbor over a fence or a barking dog? Are teenagers vandalizing property? Are you the victim of a bully? Is there a personal dispute that just seems headed to no good end or any end? An organization in the Philadelphia region has been working to prevent or solve these and other conflicts. Good morning, I'm Steve Highsmith. The Center for Resolutions has been settling disputes for more than 35 years and is expanding its reach. The center operates primarily in Delaware County. Its origins date to 1976, when some good people looked at conflicts that the courts just didn't seem to be able to resolve in the best way. As it grew, the center expanded to touch many types of conflicts and also moved toward prevention. The Center for Resolutions offers mediation, bullying prevention, conflict coaching, youth panels, and school programs and other programs and services. With me now are Paul Summers, Executive Director of the Center for Resolutions, and Tracy Hornick, who is Director of Mediation at the center. Welcome. Thank you both for being here.
Good morning.
I am looking at two people of compromise and peace. Is that how you look at yourself, Paul?
I do. More every day as I work with the organization. You really come to understand the value of peaceful resolution to conflict.
And how about you? Can you at the end of the day say, you know, I'm doing something?
I can. And there are a lot of people I talk to on the phone that say, thank you, after having, maybe a half-hour conversation with me about the dispute they're having with their neighbor. And what they needed was to be heard, and maybe someone to give them a little bit of a direction. But essentially to hear that there are other ways to deal with conflict rather than just the arguing and fighting.
So what is it that is done at the Center for Resolutions?
Well, like you just mentioned, we have a variety of different programs. We originated with the mediation program. We handle anywhere between 300 and 400 calls a year. Callers are calling in about neighbor disputes, custody disputes, family issues, problems with their teenager, a variety of different disputes.
I'm surprised with problems with teenagers, you only get 300 or 400 calls a year. Well, let's deal with that a little bit, though. When you say calls, are you talking about actual phone calls, or are there other ways that people come to you?
People are referred to us from the courts, the DA's office, this is in Delaware County, police officers. They are referred to us through legal aid or other agencies within the county. Chester County is also sending people to us. And then they find us on our website and through word of mouth.
And you also get actual phone calls?
We do. Mm-hmm.
And well, walk me through that a little bit. So if you, on the phone there, members of your staff and volunteers pick up the phone and someone says, what, I have a problem?
I'm hoping you can help me. I have a problem with my neighbor. Their yard is a mess and they keep running over my flowers and the fence is falling down and I want to repair it, but they won't let me. Something of that nature.
I think number one, we say is common driveway. When two houses use the same driveway. I think over the years that was always, that's always the source of a lot of conflict. Teenager leaves his car parked in the driveway. They can't get him up because you have to go to work, and that becomes, and its frustration builds up, and then it takes on all the different layers of you're saying about my yard and I'm saying about your fence. And
in most of these cases, do you think that the neighbor who feels that they have the problem, that they're the victim, has that neighbor tried to work this out and just not had success, or have they even not actually gone to the party across the way and been able to vocalize their concerns?
That's a really good question. Part of the process, the intake process, is asking some questions and helping the party who is feeling victimized by their neighbor to understand, where their role is in it. And one of the questions we'll ask is, what is it you have done to this point, to make the situation different, to improve it? And a lot of times we hear, well, nothing. I don't talk to him, or I don't talk to her. And then the next question would be, well, what is it that you'd be willing to do?
And what kind of answers do you get to that?
Typically, I don't know. There's nothing I can do. It's not my problem. It's his problem or her problem.
Do they come with any misconception? Do they expect that they call you and that you will take care of the problem and they don't have to do anything?
Sometimes. We get two different types of callers. Some who are looking for us to solve the problem, then others who don't want us to. But typically they're looking for us to take a side, to tell
Their
them
side.
that they're right. Absolutely, absolutely. To tell them that they're right, to solve the problem, and to inform the other party that they're in the wrong.
And Paul, I guess your idea is
part
not to figure out who is right. You don't want to take
Exactly.
a side in that sense. You want
Exactly.
to solve
We,
the problem.
in any sense, we don't take sides. Part of the intake, when they do the intake on the phone with the people, we try to be very careful to explain to them the difference between mediation and arbitration. And in arbitration, there's a winner, there's a loser. The arbitrator is a judge. In a mediation, we're more of a referee. We're trying to help the two parties come to a common agreement. And what we hope is, in the end, we'll have a written agreement that they'll both honor, and it'll make life easier. Because after all, we're looking to reduce conflict, and that's our goal. And we can only do that by being a referee, not a judge. So in that sense, our mediators are trained to be neutral and to all. Well, we have the trainer sitting next to me, so maybe she should tell you.
Well, we'll talk about training in a moment. A little bit more, though. So in this process, you've got two parties that need to be involved and committed to this, right?
Usually two.
Can be more than two. But if one person calls you, the other neighbor doesn't know yet that they're about to get a phone call from you, correct?
Not always. If it's not court referred, they do not. And typically our process is we will notify the other neighbor with a letter. So they get a letter from us stating that we've been contacted by their neighbor about some issues that are going on between the two of them, and the neighbor would like to try mediation as a way to resolve it. It shares a little bit about who we are and what we do, that we are a neutral third party.
And that there's no cost involved to this other party, correct?
Actually, we do charge a fee. It's a nominal fee.
For the other party as well?
For both parties. Mediation.
What kind of reaction do you get to that?
Oh, actually, in some cases we hear, why should I have to pay if I'm not the problem? In other cases, people are so frustrated with the problem that $35 is worth it after 16 years
But they're
of
not
conflict.
facing major legal type bills.
Which
in
they
most
might
cases.
be
No.
if they went another direction.
If they went another direction, they might
Right.
be.
If they went into the courts.
Well, before we get into some more examples and training and some other aspects of the programming that you talk about, I want to get a better sense still, for me at least, what it is that you mediate and what you don't mediate. So we've talked about a couple of
Sure.
neighbor-like disputes, barking dog or driveway problems. What do you cover?
The cases that we mediate are, in a more general sense, we can mediate behaviors, so we can help change people's behaviors. We can't mediate somebody's values, somebody's parenting skills, somebody's political perspective. Those
Do
are
you do
pieces.
divorces?
We do divorce. We don't do the divorce. We actually do the custody piece, and we
custody
refer
piece.
out the divorce. And oftentimes, attorneys will send their clients to us to have the custody mediated, and the attorneys will take care of the divorce end of it.
You don't think of yourselves then as replacing the attorney or attorney system? You see yourselves as an adjunct?
Absolutely not. In fact, more and more we're seeing attorneys referring their clients to us to have us resolve part of the dispute, to get some sort of resolution before they go into the courtroom. So there's a lot of benefit there. It shows that the disputants have agreed to try to work out the problem